Right, so
sorry, I was too slow.
that's fine. So as Joe said in my introduction, I'm going to talk about this inclusive governance project that I'm involved with through my membership of NAT, which you'll find out more about. So, Scottish Autism, first off, this is who we're doing the project for. They are a parent and professional led charity and company. So they're not autistic run at all. They are a large service provider, the biggest in Scotland. They also do campaigning and advice, so they're not just a service provider. They have a role as a charity, trying to improve the lives of autistic people in general, not just their service users. So for this project, Scottish Autism was seeking to improve their inclusive governance. So they're run by a board of trustees, as charities are. And at the moment, there is only one autistic board member, and they don't have any consistent means of getting feedback from the people they support. And they were specifically looking for autistic people, or a group of autistic people to do this project, to develop the recommendations. So when they put out a call for proposals or tenders, as they call it, to say how and who and how you would do this project, and they asked for creative and collaborative tenders from autistic consultants and autistic-led organizations or consortiums to develop and deliver a change program. So this seemed like quite an exciting opportunity, especially for NAT, who I'm involved with. So these are the organizations that got together. The National Autistic Taskforce is a UCAP associate member, and it's a very small organization who's and not representative and not democratic. It's just because it has a specific purpose to improve the lives and the situation for autistic people who are less able to advocate for themselves and who have limited autonomy, mostly people who don't communicate using language and who live in more restrictive settings. So that's what NAT are and are for. Joe's nodding, so I'm guessing I did that justice. And then there's Autistic Rights Group Highland, which is a user-led group in the Highlands of Scotland, but now they've spread a bit further. I'm not sure all the things they do, but they take on various projects, and they're very good at getting money for their projects. And they provide support for autistic people in Scotland. And then there's also AMAZE, Autistic Mutual Aid Society, Edinburgh. And they're similar, but they're in the south of Scotland. So because this was a Scottish project, we definitely needed to have some Scottish people on board. So NAT couldn't have done this by ourselves. And we have some friends and associates who are already associated with these other things. So the three of us got together and negotiated and organized a proposal to do this project. And each of the organizations has provided one or two members to the core team of 4 of us who do most of the work. Individuals who do the work and their organizations share the money for the hours that they put in. So this is the project. It's in 2 main stages, but actually almost all of the work is going to be in stage 1. So the first stage, 1A, is to get the planning and the overview for the project, to understand where Scottish Autism are now, and what the barriers might be to making progress in this direction. To do the project planning and coordinating, which is an ongoing thing that's mainly done by Yo Dunn, and finding ideas that are worth considering in more depth. So I will go into more details about what each stage is in a minute. Stage 1B, so after that, information gathering, doing some more in-depth studies of methods of inclusive governance. There are more than you might think. Different ways of including people who have different challenges, as well as decision-making processes. Finding out the views of the stakeholders, so the people who are supported and involved with Scottish Autism. And stage 2 later, which we haven't started on yet, will be reporting back to Scottish Autism, writing up their options, presenting them, and then if they would like us to, we will help to actually implement one or more of the options. So here's some more detail about that. Ongoing project management and coordination, which is actually a quite complicated thing. We've had many meetings with the senior staff, the senior leadership team, and the board. It's a very hierarchical organization because it's quite big and it's providing services. So they have, the boards are unpaid. They're the actual governance of the organization. They make the decisions about what they do and make sure that the organization does what the law requires. So they do their accounts and their reporting. But then in paid positions are the senior leadership team. So they, can't remember what her position's called, but there are 2 people who are mainly at the very top. And then there are area managers, regional managers, and managers of individual services, and lots of hierarchy before you get to the people actually providing the services. So we've met with many of these people, mostly on Zoom. And we've also been looking at a wide range of other organizations for ideas. So we gathered names and details, contact details of every organization we could think of, every disability organization, whether they were autistic related or not, to look at what they'd been doing. Many of them advertise their inclusive practices, and we found them not to be exactly what they thought they were or what they said they were, and some that are smaller and maybe not very well known are doing a fantastic job, and we would like to learn from them. So there's no need to, as the expression says, reinvent the wheel. We'd like to find out what is working and take some of the best ideas from as many places as have good ideas. And we've started some initial engagement with stakeholder groups. The stakeholder groups are the supported individuals, most importantly. That's what they call their service users. The family and carers of their supported people. They have a school, so for children, parents are particularly important. But stakeholders also include the staff, and inclusive governance includes taking into account the views of the frontline staff who are actually providing the support, who are often not listened to any more than their supported service users are. And so we're trying to talk to all of them. The first part of this is already mostly done, and we've put a preliminary report in. It took a lot longer than it said. I think our plan said that would be months 1 and 2. I think we started in June. So we finished we finished the first 2 months' work now. They're very tolerant and very patient. The later parts of this are taking a lot longer than anticipated, because the staff are actually really hard to get a hold of, because the UK is in a labour crisis. It's not my fault. I voted Remain. But this is really being felt in care in particular. So they are very short of staff. The staff are very short of time. So having looked at lots and lots of organizations to see who's doing what, we're looking in more depth at a small number of them to find out exactly what they do that works, and in some cases what doesn't work. So some might be an example of what not to do. We're developing co-production workshops, so we actually get together with various stakeholder groups and look at the various ideas that we've found and ask what they think of them, what would work, what wouldn't work. The supported people are very important here, and so are the people who work with them, who know more about communication with them. We'll share the findings and collaboratively draft some of the possible proposals. So at the moment, we're working on how to do those workshops effectively while we're still doing the first stage of engagement, where we're asking them what they think, what they want, what would inclusion mean to them. And then we're going to analyze the finding, including these 2 analyses. They're called SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and PESTLE, political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental factors. So these are all the things that they will need to take into account to make a big change to a big organization. So then when we've done all that, stage 2, we will be working up specific options, having looked at every possibility on the planet, probably. Ongoing engagement with the stakeholder groups. So we will see how things are progressing and make sure that they're up to speed and that they can redirect us if we've gone wrong. And writing up a report and presenting all the options, recommendations to the board of Scottish Autism. So we should be doing that next year. We're all finished stage 1A, we're partway through stage 1B, and we have not really started on stage 2 at all yet. So here's why we are doing this and what's good and bad about it, or difficult. So the benefits. It's a unique opportunity to influence a really large organization that's not autistic run and doesn't have any involvement at all at the moment, which improves opportunities for the involvement of autistic people at all levels of the way this organization is run, including many people who might be less able to advocate for themselves. We're hoping we might be trend setting. We're hoping that Scottish Autism, having decided that this is something to do, that others, especially their main competitors nearby, will decide that they need to do the same or similar, and then that might spread to other places. It's funded. So this is a bit benefit. It provides some income for autistic people doing the work and for their autistic-led organizations, which otherwise don't have a lot of income, in some cases, none. But the challenges are many. One of the main challenges that we've encountered so far is explaining the difference between feedback and genuine involvement. So we're pretty sure that the board would be very happy if we said that we wanted them to do an annual survey of their supported individuals. And we want people to have actual influence over the direction of the organization. And it has also been challenging working out at an individual level what that would look like. So because some of their supported people are not able to understand about governance, but if the organization is being run well, what would their lives look like? So those are the questions that we need to be asking. But it's unlikely to be realistic to convert this Scottish Autism to a disabled people's organization. It's not going to be completely disabled led. We're going to have to compromise. It will only change so far, so fast. And it has been challenging to work out how to engage effectively with supported individuals who don't use language, either spoken or written, or signed, but who don't use language at all. So we're working on collaborating with the people who do know how they communicate, as well as non-language methods of finding out what's important to them. Gatekeeping from professionals, so sometimes it can be a bit difficult to get in to talk to people, or they can be a bit protective of the people that they look after. Or they might think that we're out to get them. We're not actually trying to show everything that they're doing wrong. We think it's amazing that they've decided to really put their money and their might behind doing this better. And so it will be part of it to say where they are now, but that's not the actual point. But they can be a bit protective of what they've been doing, especially when they're having difficulty coping with limited resources. And the care service staffing shortages are causing problems with getting to see people because the managers are providing care. The managers are not just managing. There aren't enough people. So what we would like from UCAP members. We've identified around 50 organizations so far, mostly in the UK and some from the wider English-speaking world. But we would also like between 1 and 5 organizations from non-English speaking countries to look at. Are you able to suggest any organizations which might be worth a look? I wouldn't be able to discuss them with you at length now, but I would take them back to the core team. We definitely want some ideas. In particular, we're looking for autism organizations which started out not being autistic-led, which have become autistic-led. Are there any takeovers? I've unfortunately witnessed a takeover in the other direction locally. That was very sad. We had a lovely autistic-led place, and now the parents are running it and it's all therapy. Are there any disability organizations which may be to do with autism or maybe not, which are really good or really bad examples of inclusivity? So is there anyone who's already including, especially people who might be considered not able to contribute, like people with an intellectual disability or with a communication disability? And non-autism organizations which are very inclusive or have very interesting looking approaches to involving their stakeholder groups in ways that involve real power. So this is what we would like to improve, to contribute to our project. And that's all I have for now.